So guys, today we're going through HA configuration. In HA configuration, first of all, check your overall cluster health. Guys, you all need to know how to check overall cluster health. Why? Because in Rogers, in Dell, or in all other bigger organizations, they will give you VMware environment, and you need to know what is your current health of your environment. Now, current health of the environment is you go to a cluster, if you have a cluster, and then check, first of all, check a host. So it's showing you that it has two hosts and CPU is fine, memory is fine, total memory is here, two CPUs are allotted for, has both of the both of the hosts has two CPUs, and one host has 5 network cards, the other host has one network card. Here now, if you go now before even going to the host, just check memory, just check VMs, how VMs are doing. Now here all VMs are fine, just one VM is powered off or it's not working. And plus, if there are other VMs working, then you should be in my case, none of the VMs are working. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start these VMs just to see, just to have resource usage on these hosts. So I'm going to start some of the VMs here. As we all know, these VMs does not have operating system. These are just dummy VMs, but they will still use resources. So here, let's try to restart these VMs. So I am restarting the VMs here. And as soon as VMs are starting up, guys, you will start seeing DRS rules that we created yesterday. And here, if VMs cannot be started, for example, this one it cannot be started because it violates the one of the affinity rules from yesterday. I'm going to start another VM. So now I have these VMs. Now let's go back and check the host resources. So first I go to the host, and now I can see that on 60 there is 41% of memory in use. On 50 there is 1% of memory in use, and CPU is used 41%. Memory in both of them is about 30%, 31% use. Now on VMs here, some of the VMs are started, some VMs are still not on. It's fine, guys. In this case, I'm gonna go and configure HA on this. Now in HA, one host becomes master, all of the other hosts become slaves. And in this case, when how to enable HA, you need to go to edit settings, and within edit settings, you need to just select HA on HA. As soon as you select this, guys, there are some other options appear within the screen. And first of all, if I go on to the first option, we have already discussed. The first one is host monitoring status. Host monitoring status is on. You can switch it off temporarily in case you are restarting the host on purpose. Maybe they need to be restarted because patching is going on, or you need to restart for any other reason. In that case, guys, always remember in real environments to switch this monitoring off. Because if you don't switch it off and they restart the host, this might create problems in your network, in your VMware network. So this is temporarily off. And the next one here is in admission policy. We have discussed admission policy as if it is enabled, it will switch on only those VMs that can be accommodated in available resources. And here, if you disable it, it will try to switch on all the VMs that are available on one host, and it will try to switch on regardless of available resources. This is a dangerous option. We'll go with the first option. So when you go with the first option, you have three types of admission control policies. One is that how many host tolerance. So if you select one, your HA will automatically take all of the resources equal to one host and put it aside so that it can be used in case of one host crash, disaster. Second one is percentage. If you have less resources in your network and you cannot go with one host tolerance, you can go with percentage. Percentage is just saying that I will take 25% of overall CPU, put it aside, and 25% of RAM, put it aside. Last option is that how many hosts do you want to keep for failover? For example, if I select here, I can say, you know what, keep this for failover. If you say 50 will be used for failover, guys, in this case, it will take off all VMs from here and put all of the VMs in 60, and 50 will be kept. This will be kept just aside complete host. Guys, this is said to be waste of resources. Nowadays we don't go with this option. This is basically for backward compatibility. Before we used to have these options. So I'm gonna go with the default, which is one host tolerant. And then next here, so once it is on, guys, you will see these as soon as you switch them on, you will see these warning signs and this exclamation sign. Guys, first of all, it is enabling HA. The one thing that I want to show you is, if you go to a host and you go to summary, it is now doing an election. So if you go down here, it is saying election is happening. See the word election here on host? As soon as election happened, master is automatically selected and slave is automatically selected. So it took just moments to select a master and a slave. Now, once it is done, in the beginning, we saw an exclamation mark here. Guys, if you have an exclamation mark and you need to see what is it for, in that case, right on this side, in this corner, top right corner, you should be able to see that exclamation sign. You click on that exclamation sign, it will give you more details about that exclamation sign. Now, exclamation sign says that it's an error message. You must fix it. Whereas warning signs are just warning. It is not. It won't stop your HA working, but warnings also later on you should be able to fix them. Guys, in warning, in order to see warnings, most of the time, guys, how many of the time? Most of the time, it is warning when you select a host and you go to summary. Warnings are displayed right here in this place. If there are no warnings, it won't display anything. But if there are warnings, you go to summary, it will be displayed here. And here it's saying vSphere HA agent on the host could not reach isolation address. As you can see that this is your gateway. Guys, in our case, it knows a gateway, but actually there is no gateway existing in our environment. If there would have been real router and then router is accessible, then this warning won't be there. It means that it can see a gateway address, but it's not able to reach it because there is no router exists in our network. In real environment, it will be able to reach a router and a gateway. It should work fine. Secondly, number of vSphere heartbeat data store for this host is 0, which is less than required 2. So this is a second type of data store, and I'm going to show you where to configure this data store heartbeat. Guys, heartbeats are these. Heartbeats that we talked about are these. Just to heartbeat, this is to make sure that if how to confirm if the field is actually crashed or not crashed. So this is the one heartbeat saying the number of vSphere HA heartbeat data stores for this host is 0. For now, we have not configured any storage or data store heartbeat. We'll be configuring it. But for now, our HA seems to be working. Now, how is it working? How do I know it is working? Because guys, if you go to host and you go to summary, here you can see one of them is acting as master and the second one is acting as a slave, which means it is properly monitoring it. Now, in order to verify that how it is working, guys, in your cases, if you have less resources, so understand this option. In your labs, if you have less resources, guys, you cannot go with the first admission policy. You cannot go with this. Let me show you this. If you have less resources in your host, how many resources? Less resources in your host. So you need to go to settings, guys, and here you should not go with this policy. Just go with percentage. Just say reserve 10% or 20% of resources. Because in your case, what's happening is you're saying one host tolerant, your host does not have that much resources, and which is completely hanging your complete environment. So if you have less resources, do not go with first admission policy, go with the second admission policy just to test out HA. You can say maybe 15% of CPU, 15% of memory. So that if you have less smaller admission control policy, then your environment will work and HA will work as well. The only downside is your all VMs cannot be started. Why? Because there is not enough resources reserved for HA. So here in this case, now let me test out my HA. So guys, in order to test out HA, this is what we need to do. We need to, first of all, I need to make sure how many VMs are sitting on which host. So here, if you go to VM, are you able to see the host? Are you able to see the host of VM? So for example, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 VMs, 6 VM on 50 hosts, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 4 VMs on 60 hosts. So on 60 I have less VM, on 50 I have more VM. Guys, in your case, if it is not showing you the host name, if it is not showing you the host name, you can right click on this bar and select host. If it is not showing you the host name, you can right click on this bar and then select host. Sometimes host is not shown, sometimes it is shown. Now, in this case, all I want to do is, whenever I restart, whenever I shut down 60, these three should be automatically started on 50, provided resources. So here, let me see that again. So, host number Web21, DC1 and DC2, they all three will be started. Actually, Web21 is not in use, so DC1, DC2 should automatically start on 50 if it is working fine. Guys, you all should be able to verify test HA, and I'm giving you this example so that you can test that out. So in my case, if I shut down 60, then DC1 and DC2 that are running on 60 should be started on 50 automatically. So what I'll do is, I'll go ahead and shut down. Actually, you know what? The better way is if I shut it down. I'm just thinking, should I shut it down? Should I crash it? So crash means I'll just go here on ESXi2 and just power off. So this is called crashing. So I'll just go power this off and let's see what happens. So guys, just keep an eye. I'll take your all questions. Just let me complete this. So here now 60 is down. Let's see what happens here on recent task. In recent task, it should be able to show you, and also, so here something is happening. So here there is an exclamation sign on 60 and exclamation sign in 60. If I go to here, let's see, it's not just changed. And here it is saying configuring 60. And guys, so as you can see on 60, VMs are completely down. It is saying 60. It should be in moments, it should be starting these VMs on 50, provided there are resources. And now for HA, we must remember that it should all fulfill vMotion requirements. It all should fulfill all the other requirements. You know what? I'm going to wait for this. I'm going to wait and see that if they have started. I'm going to give it some time. And in the meantime, I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to pause the video. So guys, here I'm going to add another host. So this one host failure didn't work for HA. So we're going to add another host in this environment. And the way I can add a new host is I'm just going to create a new host, providing SXI. Once new host is created, add it to cluster. I'm gonna So now I have third ESXi installed, and third ESXi is part of this cluster, and third ESXi is also part of this is part of the same cluster. Third ESXi is part of the HA as well. So a third ESXi became slave. Uh, Second ESXi is also a slave. First one becomes master within. So first one is slave. Second one is a master now, and third one is slave. Now, it's very, very important. The third this exercise that we have created, it should have all vMotion options enabled. So for that, I'm quickly going to check. Going to configuration, it does not have a storage adapter, so I'm going to add a storage adapter because I just added this host. It does not have vMotion requirements. So I've added a storage adapter. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add dynamic connect it to the storage. So my storage is 192, 168, 68, 101 dot. It is, let's see what is my storage. My storage is 99. And back to storage, it's 99 and press OK. Once it is done, it should be able to connect to storage as soon as this is added. You should be able to see all LUNs added to this. Second one, I need to go to networking. In properties, I need to enable vMotion on this network. Here, vMotion is enabled. If vMotion is enabled, then on this network, and I have a port group for vMotion network. So now, just to verify if this host is all compatible with vMotion, I'm going to try and migrate one of the machines to this. So I'm saying that this host, change host to second. So this is compatible here. Oh, here I have many issues with this host. Secondly, on this one there are some warnings here, which is fine. And here I have some issues with this host as well. Now the best thing is in order to configure and pass through all these error messages, guys, it's best to disable both HA and ERS, and then try to fix all your vMotion issues. So in vMotion issues, uh, now if you try to fix them and DRS HA are enabled, then it won't work out properly. In which case, so I've disabled them just to see that if now just to see what are the issues for vMotion compatibility. So on this one, it has some issues. It's saying they're unable to access this data store. This data store, which basically means is that I think this is sitting on a local data store. It's not sitting on SAN. So first of all, for vMotion, we need to move this to SAN. And in order to move it to SAN, I needed to move to one of the LUNs here. It is moved. Same goes for this. Let's make sure that this is part of SAN as well. And this is also sitting on local storage. I'm going to move it to SAN. If you don't move it to SAN, then it won't work. And then this one, it is on SAN. Here, let me start this machine. It's starting up, and this machine is also starting up. And let me see how migration options are on this. So next, let's see this. Here it's validation succeeded. This one is warning. This one is warning. It's fine. So it's all good. Now vMotion is all working here on this. Now I'm gonna enable. So in the same manner, you should check all your VMs that if this test is succeeded on all of them, then these all machines are ready. Warning is fine. Warning is not an issue. Uh, and here, this one, warning is not an issue. But if this succeeded, no errors, then these are all good for HA and DRS. So I'm gonna now uh, enable HA and DRS on this. So DRS enabled, HA enabled, default setting, going HA is being enabled. You can keep an eye on this. It is configuring HA on all of the hosts. At the moment, election should be happening in all of them. It is being initialized. In the beginning, it shows you some error message here. In order to see this, here it's saying some warnings. There are some going to summary. Let's see what's happening. Saying insufficient resources satisfy this on host. It checked, and now HA is enabled on all of them. Gives you some errors, some hiccups, networking hiccups here. now let's see what is the situation. This is my host and my VMs. I have all of the VMs, most of them sitting on 50, some of them sitting on 60. Two VMs are on. Now I'm gonna shut down one of them. So let's say 60. 60 is this one. Let me crash it. It is being crashed now. Power off. And right here, let's see what happens. Now, as soon as it finds out that 60 is down, it should be able to move, start these two VMs, which is DC1 and DC2, on another host. So it is just checking. Let's see what happens. So let's see, 60 is down. 60 is completely down. And let's see when HA kicks in. So now I can see exclamation on this. It means it is going down. And in VMs, I have these VMs sitting on 60. Realize that they are on 60. Now they are not there. And actually they are restarted on 50. So excellent. So HA is working fine. These both were sitting in 60. Now they're started in 50. So HA is working fine. So guys, this is how we configure HA. And this is how we configure HA and how to verify. So please go to these guidelines to verify how VMs are working, how VMs can work. Um, VMs are working now. Sorry, HA works, and configure HA and test that out. Thank you so much for watching.